Is the coming DHS biowarfare test on U.S. citizens a false flag warning? Jeremiah Johnson at SHTFplan. The town of Newkirk, Oklahoma is about to receive a series of gifts from the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, in the form of exposing the town to chemical agents. The purpose is to see how much protection is offered by houses and departments against a bioweapon. It is also to see how first responders will be able to evacuate people and treat those in affected areas. An article written on December 16, 17 by J. Thermopolis for activist post entitled Residents Outraged as DHS Spraying Town with Chemicals, Using Them as Human Guinea Pigs, covers all of the details. Let's be clear, these are not weapons of biowarfare being tested, but substances that will mimic the spread and adhesion to buildings and materials. However, they are used specifically to assess biowarfare capabilities of an actual agent released or delivered. One of the chemicals is a pesticide named Dipel, among other niceties such as titanium dioxide, fluorescent brightener, and urea. Here's an excerpt to illustrate the government mindset on this testing, scheduled to commence in January. I'm really sorry that everyone is so afraid in Newkirk because these are very benign products. Kitty Cardwell, a professor at Oklahoma State University and director of the National Institute of Microbial Forensics for Food and Agricultural Biosecurity, who has been involved in other Homeland Security projects, told Newsweek. Cardwell believes the chemicals are non-toxic at that minuscule amount and likely wouldn't reach populated areas. Interestingly, while Cardwell and the U.S. government claim the chemicals used in the testing won't adversely impact human health or the environment, the EU has proposed to classify titanium dioxide as a carcinogen, meaning that it is suspected of causing cancer, specifically when inhaled. As you can see, Professor Kitty Cardwell is sorry that residents of Newkirk are afraid, although she is on the project, declaring all the chemicals safe. Where have we heard that line before? Perhaps Kitty Cardwell would like it if the DHS would spray down her neighborhood with those chemicals, or better yet, when the tests are done, perhaps she can take a ground zero, front row seat in the town, without any protective gear. The truly insidious thing about this has not been mentioned. There is a level 4 bioweapons facility in Kansas that was built there as a shift of resources from Plum Island. In that influenza outbreak we had in the winter of 2012-2013, the first reported case of an infected patient was outside of Lawrence, Kansas. The flu spread outward from there and infected the entire continental United States, Alaska, and Hawaii within 52 days. Quite a natural test that was. The insidious part, the fact that the media has been interjecting news articles every other day about the increasing bioweapons capabilities of the North Koreans, how they're gearing up to deliver smallpox, anthrax, and other biowarfare agents to the U.S. via missiles. Crafting the narrative once again, the mainstream media, MSM, creates and builds upon the potential for a threat, setting the stage for the government to run with the ball and deliver a false flag in that very form. Well, North Korea will have to stand in line. North Korea can very well be the whipping boy for the false flag in several different scenarios, such as an EMP, electromagnetic pulse attack, or a nuclear strike. Keep this article in mind that was released the 4th of December 17 from The Guardian, entitled U.S. Military Agency Invests $100 million in Genetic Extinction Technologies, by Arthur Nesselin. The article goes on to explain how DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, has received more than $800 million already between 2008 and 2014 for such genetic experimentation. Keep in mind that DARPA develops technology for use by the DoD, Department of Defense, and the military. It stands to reason they are not spending almost $1 billion to fight mosquitoes. What they are doing is pooling genetic information on people, creating a database, and weaponizing the information in the form of bioweapons specifically targeting ethnic genotypes. Myriad Genetics, the firm that tried to patent genes in its tests to determine cancer in patients according to family history and DNA, lost its court case back in 2013-2014, but they have an immense repository of genetic material completely accessible by the government. You may recall a few months ago one of the gimmicks of the NFL, sponsored by a Ridge 3N, a genetics firm, was to hand out 55,000 genetic testing kits to Baltimore Ravens fans at the home game opener versus the Cleveland Browns on September 17, 17. At the last minute it was negated over certification concerns, but polls taken showed that most of the Eli would have been more than willing to take a DNA sample for free and send it in for results. The best cages, in the eyes of the government, are the ones we the people construct for and around ourselves. These repositories, along with the ones garnered by the military on service members, will guarantee that DARPA will have a substantial pool to use to tailor-make their weapons, peculiar to different concentrations of ethnic groups, such as Americans of Scandinavian or German extraction in Minnesota and the Great Lakes states, or Hispanic Americans in the Southwest. These bioweapons could be used quickly and efficiently, leaving the natural resources, property, and other assets intact for gathering by the government after the reductions are made. We have a long history of such testing on our citizens. The nuclear SOLRs exposed to atomic bombs after World War II in the deserts of the southwestern U.S., the vaccinations on Desert Storm veterans, all the way up to recent years where they've been releasing pathogens, Bacillus subtilis and the like, on subways and train stations to learn about the spread. We have an administration that is holding more than 60% public disapproval, and the demographics of the Congress appear ready to shift left once again soon. The military-industrial complex, Mike, and the powers that be behind the Oval Office, more powerful than the president, want war and a reduction of the population. We are close to a war with North Korea, and taking aggressive stances with other nations. The false flag potential is running high, and we may be seeing the groundwork for such a thing being prepared right now. 9/11 proved that war and sudden attack or tragedy is a powerful force to galvanize public support and shift attentions, while shifting the paradigm in the direction willed by the powers that be. The EMP can be the diversion, while the government takes advantage of the confusion to release genetically modified bioweapons against its enemy, the American people. Jeremiah Johnson is the nom de plume of a retired Green Beret of the United States Army Special Forces Airborne. Mr. Johnson is also a gunsmith, a certified master herbalist, a Montana master food preserver, and a graduate of the U.S. Army Sarah School, Survival Evasion Resistance Escape. He's in a cabin in the mountains of western Montana with his wife and 3 cats. You can follow Jeremiah's regular writings at SHTFplan.com or contact him here. This article may be republished or excerpted with proper attribution to the author and a link to www.shtfplan.com. America's Freedom Fighters has full permission to reprint this from Max Lavo at SHTFplan.com. Together we will make America great again. Dean James III % at America's Freedom Fighters. Follow us on Facebook at Nation in Distress. Please like and share on Facebook and Twitter. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to our newsletter.